You're welcome to yet another episode of the Rookie Analyst Microsoft Excel for Personal Data Analysis course series. And today we are going to look at data visualization and reporting. We'll be creating charts and dashboards in Excel. And this is the most interesting part of data analysis that everybody look forward to, creating beautiful charts and dashboards. You know how I would like to do it. Let's dive right in.
Data visualization is one of the most important aspects of your data analysis. If you have analyzed your data, you've cleaned your data, and you want to present your results, one of the ways you have to start is by creating a chart. It is this chart that you end up making a dashboard with. So in this lesson, we are going to look at the basics of creating charts, how to modify it, and the tips and tricks on how to create charts, and most importantly, the best way for you to create a chart, which eventually will make up an interactive dashboard. To demonstrate this, we'll be using the Tip Top Taste Restaurant 2022 sales data, which is the data set we'll be using all along in this series. However, in this particular lesson, we're going to be pulling out subsets of this data to demonstrate how to create charts to answer specific questions. So to start with, Excel has multiple ways of creating charts, from the basic ways, which is the conventional way of creating charts, to the pivot charts. So we're going to start with the conventional way of creating charts. So the first way is for you to just click on the data and then come over to the insert tab here. And once you click on the insert tab, you're going to see charts. And in the charts, you could just straight away click here. And once you click here, you're going to see the recommended charts and also all chart types. So the recommended charts, just like the recommended pivot tables we have learned in the previous lesson, is going to recommend charts that will answer specific questions to your data set. For instance, here you could click on a particular recommended chart to see what the chart is telling you. Like this particular chart here is a sum of cost by product. So assuming this is what you want, you could just click and start formatting straight away. But today we are going to see how we're going to build our chart from scratch. So what you may want to do is to come over here to the all charts. And in the all chart, you see all the different type of charts that Excel has, from the column chart all the way down to the combo chart. And each of these charts has different variants. For instance, we have the pie chart, this is the normal pie chart we see here, and here is a donut chart, which is my favorite. Yeah, not just because I love donuts, but because sometimes it looks more sleeky and more visually appealing. So these are the different type of charts that are available in Excel and the variant. You find yourself using the column chart, line chart, pie chart, and bar chart the most. And then in some cases, you may have to use the map or the XY, especially for the map when you have to do the location. Let's go to creating our charts. We have pulled out a subset of our data from the sales data. And here we're able to pull out all the sales that was generated from January to December for each month. And from this, we want to see the trend. How our sales, what is the trend between all the months in the year 2022? Are we increasing? Which months are we doing worst? Which months are we doing better? So to best answer this kind of question, you may want to use a line chart. And the first thing you may want to do when you want to insert a chart or create a chart from scratch in Excel is to highlight the portion you want to visualize. And you may notice that I'm only selecting from January to December and I'm not including the grand total. So let's insert our charts and I will show you why you don't include the grand total when you want to visualize your charts. So the next thing you may want to do is here, if you're in the home button, if you're in the home tab, you have to click on the insert tab. And if you're already in the insert tab, you just need to click on the chart. Remember, you can click here to see all the charts that's available for you. But we already know that we want to make use of a line chart, and we have our line chart probably somewhere around here. So all we need to do is just to click here and select the kind of line chart that we want. So if you want this kind of line chart, you can hover on all of these charts to see, and as you're hovering on it, you're going to see exactly you're going to see Excel displaying what it will look like if that's exactly what we want. So we may just have to go with this one, which is the most basic one of the line chart. So here we have our charts already, and from this particular chart we could see the trend from January to December. We could see that from October to December our sales are steadily increasing, and this could be attributed to different factors, which could be the usual Black Friday sales or end of year, it's festive season, and all of that. So these are different factors that contribute to the sales, but you want to present this to your manager in order for them to make an informed decision, or better still, to even forecast what will happen in the next 12 months, if to see if the sales is going to increase or not. So now we've inserted our line chart here by just coming over here to the insert tab and selecting the chart. And the beauty of this is that you could already increase or reduce the number of data set that is making up this chart. Imagine if you just want to show from January to March, all you need to do is just to click on this and then drag up to the number of months you want to show. So we've deselected and we're only seeing January to March, and we could see that the sales is higher in February as compared to January and March. And let's say we want to show all the data set, we bring this back all the way to the grand total, and you can see there's a huge spark here in the grand total. This is because this is the total, and then it makes all other data set redundant. So the grand total is definitely not part of the data that you want to visualize. So you may have to be careful. And imagine you didn't select the portion, you just click on insert, your grand total will be appear. So you may have to take note of that. So sometimes if the grand total is of no use for me in a particular chart, or what I do is before inserting chart is to just delete the grand total if it's not needed, except when I needed it for more of like a conditional formatting, or I want to highlight something. So mostly I take it out. So we have this, our charts here appearing here. The next thing we want to do is formatting this chart. And how to format this chart, there are different ways for you to format. For instance, now you want to change the chart title, you could just double click on it and automatically start editing. But before we even change, another way you could even check is come over to the quick layout here. You see quick layout here, you could already start selecting to see where you could find the kind of data, the kind of visuals that you want. At the same time, you could just come over here and look at the style. There are different styles. You could just over on each one to see different styles, and sometimes you may just find exactly what you're looking for in the different style. Now that we've inserted our chart, let's do some modification. First, you may want to increase how big or how small your chart is. You can simply do that by dragging, by selecting at the end corner, dragging or reducing, bringing it backward or bringing it forward to either reduce or to increase it. But this look good here. So now let's do some basic formatting, or better still, let's start with adding titles to our data, to our visual. So first is, you notice here we have the horizontal and the vertical axis. So you may want to start by labeling them. Once you click on this plus sign, it shows you all the chart elements. So you can see here we have all the axes that is already selected, but the axis title is not selected. So if you want to add the title to our axis, we may just want to select this axis title. And at the same time, you can see this arrow here. Once you just come over here to this arrow, you see that it shows the primary horizontal and primary vertical. So this is already, and you may, once you come over here now, it shows you which one is the horizontal and then which one is the vertical. Hovering on this axis title here shows that this is horizontal category axis title, and hovering on this one here tells us the vertical axis title. And it's already obvious that this is months from January to December, and we may not want to add a title to it. So you just come over here and then you're going to deselect this, which is the primary horizontal title. So next, you just have to come over here and then type directly what we want here. And here, what we want to show here is this is the sum of sales. And you can just highlight this and then increase the size, and then increase the size as much as you want. And also you could even increase the font size to just maybe automatic. If you want it to be black, automatic black. And at the same time, you could do the same thing for this, increase it to make it automatic, and then you could do the same thing here. And if you want a different color, you could just put the different color, but let's leave it at this. So usually when you're visualizing the data, it's always important to pay attention to the color that is most preferred by your client or the company that you're working with. So you can easily get this by looking at the company logos. It usually tells you the brand representation of your company will help you out in order to design the color. But in most cases, your biasness will come into it. Like for instance, now when I want to show a portion of a chart, maybe I usually don't like using pie charts. I prefer to use a donut chart. And sometimes again, because I love blue, I usually use blue color the most. And it's one of the colors that most people also use as well. So now the next thing here we want to do is to just edit our chart title. So you could just also come over to the chart design and you see a lot of other things you could do in chart design. You could straight away change your chart type. You could just change your chart type if you want by coming to chart design, or even if you want to apply some colors here. So if you want to apply some colors here, you could just come over here and then you put, and then the color automatically changes, right? So now before we proceed with modifying our chart, I would like to show you a easier way of inserting chart in Excel if you want to insert a chart. So we're going to take this off. So all you need to do is just to highlight this, and then you use the Alt and the F1 key, and it automatically inserts a chart for you. Remember, Alt and F1. And we've already introduced ourselves to the importance of making use of shortkeys. It simplifies your work. So we can now go ahead and complete our formatting. So after showing this, so I'll just Ctrl Z and then come back to our formatting that we're doing. The next is we want to format our title. It's really easy for you to just delete this by using the backspace or Ctrl Alt to highlight, and then you type in what you want. Let's just say we want this to be tip top sales, for instance. So, but sometimes you may want to make this dynamic so that you have the same title, you maintain the same title for the tables here or from what you have in the data. Then it's just easy for you. All you just need to do is just come to the formula bar here, put the equal to sign, and then select where it is, and then you click the enter, and it automatically changes to this. So instead of typing this, you could just use the equal to sign and then select this, and then once ever this changes, automatically what you have on your chart also changes. So we Ctrl Z and we'll bring this back. Another thing you may want to do is that you may even want to just put a theme color to this. So you could decide to just make this to be blue, for instance, and then you make this to be white. So you could look this. So this chart is becoming great, right? So another thing we want to do is, let's say this particular place here, you have the minimum here to be 0, and then we have the maximum here to be 60,000, and you really want to make changes to that. All you need to do is just to double click on the chart element here, and you have the format axis appearing. So from this format axis, you could even change many other things like the solid field if you want the solid field and it's already appearing, and if you want it as automatic, I'll just leave it as automatic. So you could also increase the transparency of the data, of the visuals. You could do a lot of formatting options right here, but where I'm particular about is just to show us here, it's to show us this particular place here. Once you click on this, you see what is the axis options here. So in the axis option, you could set a minimum and also the maximum. So you can see here we have the minimum here is above 10,000. So we may just want to set this here to become 10,000. So 10, 1, 2, 3, 10,000. And at the same time, we may want to increase this place. We may want to reduce it to somewhere around, as you can see, it should be around 55. So you may just set this to be 55. And then we click on enter. And then this automatically changes. And if you want it to be 52, you could just create on 52. But this is above, so we leave it as maybe 53 for instance. It's still above, so let's leave it as 55, and then we click on enter. So you can see we have presented our chart in a more better way, not starting with 0. And you may want to start with from 5,000 here, so you just put 5,000, 5,000, and then it changes. And if you wanted to start from 0, you may just have to change it, or you could just reset it and just leave it as it was before. So we could also make this to be 0 and then enter, and then it's back to normal. So imagine you don't want the grid line, you could just come over here and then you could just take away the grid lines, and then the grid lines is off. And you may want to include a trend line. So all you need to do is just to click on this and then you have your trend. So this trend line is shows you the trend of how your data is moving from January to December. And when you double click on this here and you come over to chart options here, it tells you the kind of trend line you are using. Are you making use of a linear, exponential, logarithmic? And here we're making a linear. You could change this as much as you like. So we'll leave it as linear, but at the same time, we could use this for forecasting. So we want to forecast forward, meaning like this is for the current 12 months in 2022, and we want to see what may happen in 2023, so which is going to be 12. So we may just have to just select this and then we click on enter, and then it shows us this is going to be the trend. So there's a tendency that we will continue to make our sales will continue to increase based on this. So if you don't want this back, we just you could just click here, you control Z, and then we bring back our chart here. So now our chart is well formatted, and we could see here that from October to December we have an increase in sales, and you may want to further see this is going to be like the Q4 of 2022. So you may want to see how the products contributes to this, which products contributes to this sales from October to December. So, and that will take us to the next role we want to see here. So now this is our data from September to December. We have our product, which is pizza. So this is our Q4 sales, right, for the products. And we want to visualize this. So now we want to visualize this. The first thing we may just want to do is just to use the Alt and then the F1, and it automatically insert a chart for you. However, you may decide to remove this back and then use a column chart. But this is okay for us. This is exactly what we want to see. But at the same time, if you notice this particular here, we want, instead of this September to appear, we want to switch it. We want to see it over September and December and not by product. So all you may just need to do is to come over to your chart design and then you click on switch row and column, and Excel automatically switch the product with the dates. So as you can see, so the product now is appearing here as the legend, while the September, October, November, December is now appearing as the now appearing in the chart itself. So if you don't want this, you may decide to just switch it back again, and then you have this. And then it tells you the legend, which color is for September, which color is for October, which color is for November, and which color is for December. So we want it to appear to just show the product sales for each of the months. So we just decide to switch this back. Another thing you may want to do is that you may even decide to change the color of each of this particular bar chart itself by just going to the format options here that we've already shown in the past. So I'll leave you guys to explore all these other formatting options, right? So another thing I may want to mention here that we've not done in terms of formatting is filter. So you can easily filter. If you want to filter, you may want to filter, just you don't want to show for pizza and burger, all you need to do is just deselect this and then you click apply, and automatically it takes out pizza and burger from the data set. As you can see here, we're only having chicken, ice cream, fries, and coke. You can bring this back by just selecting this and selecting all, and then you click apply. And if you want to show just for, you want to see all these products for just December, all you need to just select December, and then you can see here. So you are having all these products by just December alone. So this is a very dynamic way of visualizing your charts, because you could make this editing here. However, if you bring this into your dashboard, it may not be as dynamic as you want. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you the most dynamic way of creating chart, which is a pivot chart. But before then, let's quickly look at our bar chart. So we have come over here. We can as well use Alt F1 here to see the revenue that each product has generated, right? So we can use the Alt F1, or we can come over here to insert, and then we select the kind of charts that we want. So we want a bar chart, for instance. We could just come over here. Let's come over to this. We can just come over to this place here and see all the charts here. And then we come to bar chart, and then we see what kind of bar chart do we want. Let's say we want this. Now you see, because we did not highlight, we only select from the portion of the data and we're having a grand total appearing. We may not want to do that. So that's why it's important you highlight or you take out the grand total. So still I prefer to just highlight, and then once you've highlighted the portion, we just have to just make use of Alt F1. And or better still, you could still come over here, use your insert, and then click on this, select the kind of bar chart that you want. Is it going to be the clustered? And if you want a column chart, this is a column chart here. If you want a bar chart, you come over here. If you want a column chart, you come over here. So let's say you want a column chart, for instance. You select your column chart and then you click on OK. And this is our column chart. Remember, you can as well increase on this, increase this. So you can also do a bit of formatting. So here we can see the overall revenue that is generated by each product here. And we could see that pizza generated the most revenue for Tip Top Taste restaurants and Coke generate the least. You can as well continue to format this as much as you like, just the same way with what you've already formatted in the past. Now the next is for us to see a pie chart. So we also remember the grand total. We don't need this. We're going to take this out. So the next thing we want to do for the pie chart is highlight the portion that we want to see. We want to see how are the customers doing. You may want to see it by just customer ID. So you select customer ID, you click on the control while you select only sales, so that we're going to omit the customer name. And once we do this and we use Alt F1, or we come over here to insert, and we're going to see our pie chart here. So once you see our pie chart, we click on pie chart, and then you come over to all charts here. You see pie chart here, and then you select if you want this kind of pie chart, and if you want a donut chart, you select. But let's assume you like pie charts more than a donut chart, like me. Let's say you're not me, right? So we just click pie chart, and then you select OK. Now we have our pie charts here appearing here. So if you don't want the legend to appear, all you need to do is just to take out the legend if you want, for instance. And at the same time, if you want to include the data labels, you just include the data labels. But here, let's explore the chart style. You may just decide to come over here and look at the chart style and look at the chart style that actually suits you the most. And I think we may just decide to go with this chart style. So, and simply because it already shows you the percentage in each of the portion. And here we could see that the customer one contributed the most probably here, which is the blue color. Look at, okay, we have the customer with 25% here. And which customer is that? In case you don't want to use it by the customer ID, you could just decide to change the data set itself behind all of this. So you just can decide to just highlight this instead of using the customer ID. But I'm going to leave this as the customer ID. Now the most interesting part is pivot chart. Pivot chart is by far the most dynamic way of and the easiest way of inserting chart in Excel. So, and remember in our previous lesson, we've looked at pivot tables, and from the pivot tables, you can easily generate your pivot chart. So for you to be able to use this, you have to first come over to your data set, and you have to ensure that your data set is already in a table. And how do you change that? You highlight the data, the table. Once you highlighted everything in the data set, you use Control T. But this is already in a table because you have your table design here. And remember, we mentioned the importance of naming your data. We just name this sales data and then we press enter. So now we've named this table as sales data. And from this table, we can insert our pivot table by coming over to insert, and then we select pivot table. But remember, you can either select an existing sheet or a new worksheet. Now we already have an existing worksheet, which is a pivot chart where we want it to appear. So we click on existing worksheet and we click on this, select the pivot chart, and then select where we want it to appear. We come back here to select this, and then we click on OK. Now we have our pivot chart here. So from the beauty of this is once you have this here, this pivot table here, easily, let's say we want to see, you could just easily drag and drop. Want to see the product by revenue, you can easily drag and drop, and even use this. You can use pivot table to analyze a data in its entirety. You can refer to the how to analyze data using pivot table video in the previous lesson over here. So now from here you can easily insert your pivot chart, and they are just the same way with the conventional way. You could just come over here and you see pivot chart and you click on insert pivot chart. It automatically insert a chart for you, leveraging this particular data set that you already have here. And at the same time, you can also use the Alt F1. So It is this pivot charts that we are going to use to create an interactive dashboard in the next lesson. But until then, this is where we're going to stop in this lesson, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson.